Hey Donna, you told me a story when one of your babies were born and you brought him and Elvis saw the baby for the first time. Tell him that. That's such a precious story.
Well, December 7th, 1975, I went into labor with our firstborn, Alicia, who was the one that sang the other night. And I had natural childbirth, so everyone knew that when I went into labor, Ron had to leave. So he had a beeper standing by in a private plane. And so I called them at 6 in the morning. They were just going to bed, and I said, my water just broke, you better get here fast. So we were in Topanga Canyon, which is right outside of Los Angeles, and of course they were in Las Vegas. So Ron jumped on a plane and got there just as she was coming out. And the very next day we got on a plane and went back to Las Vegas. And at the end of that week, Elvis said, I want to see this baby that stopped you from doing the show. So Ron calls me and I threw it together and took her downstage after the show. And he was just amazed. He picked up this little baby and he walked around and he was showing everybody, look, this is Ronnie Tutt's baby. This little, beautiful little, I mean, she looked like a monkey. She had hair. Don't tell her I said that.
She still has hair.
So, Joe Esposito kept saying, Elvis, the plane's ready to go. You know, we need to go. I'm going when I'm ready to go. I'm showing everybody this baby. So for over an hour, he just stood there and held her. I'm just sorry that we never took any pictures of that.
Those would be great pictures to see.
Yeah. So that's the story.
I got a question for both of you. Louise, how did you meet James? And Donna, how did you meet Ronnie?
Well, since I met James first, okay, let's see. James was from Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. And he was working with Ricky Nelson. And I have to tell you, I like Ricky Nelson, but I loved Elvis. I mean, I went to his movies, I had Elvis capri pants, but my mother would never let me go see him because it was immoral. I think it was illegal, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. But I could never see him because I was too young. And I wasn't even allowed to date till I was 16, so you can imagine how square that was then. But so a friend of mine said his friend was coming in town, and it was James Burton, and he wanted to know if I wanted to meet him. And I know this is going to sound strange, but I was just more interested in going to college and marrying and going with guys that were going to be doctors or attorneys or something that could produce a good life for my future children, right? Is that how you were raised? That doesn't ever work out. But anyway, I went, and I'd never even met anybody like this. He came in, he was this big, and me and I was dating guys in high school that were football players, and I didn't even know a guy could be that tiny. He was this big. He was taller than me. But, my God, when he started talking, he was the funniest guy I'd ever met. Funniest. And he had red and black boots. Cowboy boots. Now, you have to know the 50s, you had a pair of brown shoes and a pair of black shoes. That was it. Even women. And I didn't even know they made red and black cowboy boots. These boots were so incredibly beautiful. And we just talked, and I was in love. I mean, immediately, because he was just so funny. And then he started playing with some guys that were there. And that was over the top. I mean, his playing was just, no one played like that. And it was nothing I had ever heard. So I'm sure Donna feels that same way about her husband. I mean, these guys, I just have to say this. I know it's off track, but I say things when it comes to my mind. But these three guys, Glenn and Ronnie and James, they play with everybody. I mean, they go around the world their whole career and played with different people. This is just one facet of their careers. But when they're together, it is magic. Those three play more music together than you could get a full orchestra play. It's just magic when they're together. So I'm excited about being together again.
Right about that. I wanted to say that at their little thing yesterday, did for yesterday. When they're together, it is magical. We sit back a lot while they're rehearsing or something. There it is, you know, it's just a sound that is really special for sure. 1972, I became a flight attendant, and when I was hired, I'm sure you guys all know the story, but when I was hired, I was told our planes charter Elvis's tours, but don't worry, you won't be on the flight because you're new and too young. And yeah. So 6 months after I was employed, my boss said, okay, I want you to do the Elvis tour in November. So I said, okay. So I get on the plane and meet all these wonderful people, and that really had a good time together. They were family for sure. And my flight engineer said to me, I know you like drummers, but just warning you that the drummer has an ex-wife and 6 children. Okay. And he's much older than me, so stay away, right? Oh, and my boss said don't fraternize with the passengers as well. So 2 or 3 days into the tour, Ron kept talking to me, and I'm talking to him. Would you like to go to dinner? Well, okay, we'll go to dinner. So then we went to dinner and hit it off really well. That's when he said, well, do you want to go up and meet Elvis? I went, well, not really. I don't care. So that was my whole conversation about meeting Elvis. But by the end of the tour, which was 8 days long, he invited me to see the show, which I had not seen the show. So I went to Long Beach and sat in the 5th row, and it was so exciting. All these people were like, who are you? How did you get this seat? I know those people up there, you know? So I saw the show, and I was absolutely amazed at the talent on that stage. Of course, watching Ron, amazing. He looked like an octopus up there. But
It's like nuclear power.
yeah, it was nuclear power. So we talked a little bit a couple days after that, and long story short, 3 weeks later we were engaged to be married, and we've been married almost 46 years.
The other night, Dennis on stage said, well, Ronnie has his whole family with him on this trip. And I heard Ronnie back here say, well, part of them.
10 children, 17 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren.
How many grandkids and great-grandkids do you have?
We have 4. And they're adorable. I have pictures. Oh my God. You have time? I have time. I was going to tell you, I got sidetracked, but James and I married. I was 16 when I met him, and I had to graduate. I was 18 when we got married. And we've been married 54 years. I'm his wife, and he's my wild child. So that's how our relationship goes, and it's wonderful. So I appreciate that question, Olga.
Questions out here. Who has another question? Right here? Let me.
Oh my God.
Louise, what did you thought when you heard that James is going on tour with Elvis? To work with Elvis?
Oh, you haven't heard that story yet. Okay. I think some of you have, but I was an Elvis fan, and then James was working with everyone in the business, and we had friends working with Elvis, so we never thought about him working with Elvis, even though he had never met him, and I had never met him, but I was just an Elvis fan. And so he was going to a session, which that's what he did then in the session world, but this guy called and said, I have somebody, can I speak to James? And I said, no, he's in a shower and he's getting ready to go to work to a session. Let me take your name and he'll call you later tonight. He said, no, I need to speak to him. And I said, well, you can't right now, but who's calling? He said, Elvis Presley's calling. I said, wait a minute. I'm going to get him out of the shower. And James said, tell him I'll call him back later tonight. I said, oh no, James, you have got to take this call. And that's when everybody had phones in their home. And so he got on the phone. And I told him, I'm going to the other phone to listen. Because I just wanted to hear his voice, you know. And James, he got really mad in the face. So I knew I shouldn't do that. But now if it had been today, I just walked and picked that phone up and said, hi. But anyway, in those days you didn't do stuff like that. But it was just the beginning of an incredible relationship and friendship with incredible people. I mean, we were friends not only with him, with his father, with his wife, Priscilla, with his girlfriend, Linda, and all the guys around, and with Lisa Marie. And I just love that child. And so, anyway, it's been a long friendship and relationship with him. And you know, you read this stuff about Elvis, and let me just say something. People write books to sell books because they have dirt in them, but you should read only the good books. They only say good things, because those are the true facts. The other is fake news to make money off of you. And it's disrespectful to Elvis to even buy these books. So I'm saying, if you're going to go buy a book, which we all have, buy the books from people who really loved Elvis like you do. Don't give the other people any of your money, any of your space in your mind, because Elvis was awesome. He was an awesome person. What you think you want him to be, it's exactly what he was. So I'm saying, don't even go the other places. And we don't need bad news about people, not only about Elvis. I mean, about anybody. You know, always think the good thoughts and pray good things for them, because they go through life like you do. Just because they're famous and maybe rich doesn't mean they're not human, and they have the problems in their families that you have in your families. And so even with Donna and I, listen, with 10 children, she was a regular mother. And I was a regular mother. And when James came off the road, he's a regular father. He mows the grass, he takes out the trash, he cooks, just like you do at your home. But when people come along and want to say negative things about other people to make them in on the no, they know nothing. I mean, so when people start telling you gossip, just walk away, because gossip's destructive. And we always want to be positive energy. So, but I just want you to know, the man that you loved deserved your love. He was wonderful.
Following up on that, what was it like when, because Ronnie was doing sessions, as James was, and touring. At that time, when he was with Elvis, was he touring with anyone else? So he was touring with various people and playing sessions. So what was that like for you? Because he was gone then so much, and you had a house full of children. How long would he be gone at a time?
Maybe 3 weeks at the most. At that time, touring wasn't as long, extensive as it is now, but maybe 3 weeks or so. I just kept busy. Just raised the kids.
When did you start having the opportunity to travel with him?
Well, before we had our firstborn, those first couple of years, Ron played with Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead. I don't know. Jerry kind of started his own little band, the Jerry Garcia Band, and so we would go from the glitter of Las Vegas, because at that time you couldn't walk into a showroom without an evening gown and dressed to the max. You could not go in shorts or anything. So we had to dress up for those events. And we would leave Las Vegas, go home, change our clothes, put our tie-dye jeans and t-shirts on, and head up to San Francisco, and Ron would tour with Garcia and the band up there. So we had a pretty crazy life for those first couple of years. But then I just, I had to stay home and take care of the kids. So he toured without me for a long time, and then 1999, when Ron suffered a heart attack, he couldn't, he wanted me to be on the road with them, so I got permission from, at that time he was working with Neil Diamond, and so I started traveling with him there, and then on these things, Elvis the concerts, and you know, they need a mom to hold their hand and tell them where to go.
Sometimes we fall and scrape our knee, and we need someone to put a Band-Aid on and give us a kiss right there so it's all better. Done. Questions out here? Anyone over here?
For years I have begged your husbands to write a book. I heard that James maybe start writing on a book next year.
No.
They haven't done it. Will you make them do it?
Thank you. I'm going to tell you, we've already put, he's been saying he's going to record more albums and finally write a book, maybe 40 years. But this is the year, and we've already got it laid out. We just have to put it down. But our book is going to be different, and you're going to love every minute of it, and you're going to relate to it. And it's going to be easy read, because inside it's going to be a video of James saying it. So if you can't read English, you can listen to the video in English, and then stick it in the recorder that translates it to German or whatever. But technology today is great. But it is coming. We've already got it all laid out, so hopefully we get it done before the end of the year. Yeah, because
we're all encouraging him to write his memoirs of his life. It's hard to do. You know, you sit down and you try to remember everything in all the years, and there's so much, as you all know, it's hard to put things into words or in a book, or, but we'll come up with something.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it. He did start doing it since he's had a year off in the bed to do that, so we'll get something going for sure.
I went by the house to see him back in May, and I hadn't seen Ronnie, and so we knocked on the door, and Ronnie opened the door, and it felt so good to see him standing there looking good and feeling good, and of course we've been so happy to see both Donna and Ronnie and the kids be back here, so it's great. Questions? Right here.
You know, I'm going to tell you, right away after Elvis died, we went straight to Graceland. And we were there a couple of days before the funeral. And we were mourning in the house. But until the funeral procession started from the house to the cemetery, we were totally shocked. Elvis knew he was well-liked and he was famous and he was one of the top entertainers. I don't think he realized he was the top entertainer of all time forever around the world. That would have shocked me. And I think the reason he is because Elvis really loved his fans. And he didn't take them for granted. I mean, he appreciated everybody that would buy one ticket to come see him. And he tried to perform a show like that one person would never get to see that show ever again in their lifetime. That they only had the money for one ticket to come to one show in their whole lifetime, so he wanted to perform it for them. And he had that gift. I mean, when Donna said he had an aura about him, you could be sitting in a room and when he did come through a door, you turned around because there was a charisma aura about him, and he really had it. It was so spiritual. And you turn around and it was him, always, always. And I have never, we have all played with the top entertainers in the world. All of us, and they're friends. I mean, Keith Richards, it's just like a friend calling on a phone. But no one has ever had the charisma that we've been around ever, entertainment business or anything else, like Elvis. He was really a chosen person for God. He really was. And even though he wasn't a preacher, he sung gospel songs on his show, which a lot of people would never have done that. And he spoke of it often, but he showed the love of a Christian person. And, we were talking about this the other night. Christians love each other. Elvis fans love each other. When they come together, we're a family here. And we just love and help each other. So that's how he was. And so, I appreciate you asking that question.
Were you all in Hawaii for the taping of Aloha from Hawaii? Were you both there? What were your thoughts and memories of that night? Did it feel like just another concert, or did it have a completely different feel about it because of what was happening?
Well, for me, I was real new into the whole thing because we had just met them.
That was 73, right?
Yeah, so we were engaged and I went over to watch this whole thing take place. But, I didn't know the magnitude of what that show would, I don't think any of us really knew the magnitude of what that show created. It was fascinating watching all the people and them on the stage, Elvis throwing his cape at the end of the show. Oh my God.
Was there any particular show that you saw over the years that you thought, that was incredible? Was it Aloha, or was there something else in Vegas that you thought, that's the most amazing concert I've ever seen? Did any particular one really stand out?
I think the Aloha really just, I mean, I saw a lot of the shows in Vegas, and
The energy level was just higher, wasn't it? Yeah. Other questions? Yes. All right. All right, it's going to be loud. Okay.
Ladies, do you have a favorite song?
Me?
My favorite is The Wonder of You. And when he sings it and he says, play the song, James, I can't tell you I lose my breath every time. I hear that song every day.
Wait.
Every day I play that song.
I'm going to tell you about Elvis. He could sing anyone else's songs that were real popular at that time better than they did. And you would always think it was his song and they just copied it. Because he just had this talent that he could put his soul in it. And he was just fabulous. But my favorite was probably In the Ghetto and Suspicious Minds. And you know, we were all going through stuff at that time, and I think that's why it just meant so much to me. But that's my two favorites. And The Ghetto is one of my very, very favorite songs. Yeah. And,
What about you, Donna?
I'll Remember You.
oh yeah, that one's awesome. Awesome.
Anyone else over here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on Louise,
Yeah.
the James Burton Foundation, how they get started?
You know, thank you for that question, because I almost forgot to mention the foundation. And the foundation got started. James broke his foot one time in '95, and we went to the hospital. And you guys have probably heard this story, but it seemed like it was just yesterday when our guys get hurt, let me tell you. And they overdosed him on morphine. And we don't usually say this, but they killed James. James was dead 4 hours. And we had prayer warriors come in from everywhere and pray for him to live. They had him on life support for 11 days. And they finally told us they were going to unplug him, and he wouldn't breathe on his own. And I'm going to tell you, they unplugged him. And we prayed 100% that he would play better than ever, because he had extreme brain damage. And that he would be the body of a 21-year-old man, and that he would have the brain of a 21-year-old man. And I'm going to tell you, he woke up and talked and we prayed he would never remember it, because I've heard the trauma of going through traumatic things. You relive it all the time. And he never even remembered anything. So he was so blessed. And we said, God, we will pay you back. Just tell us how. And so year after year went by, and I told James, I think we're supposed to go to Africa and be missionaries, and we didn't want to go. You know, you just think he told us and we didn't want to hear the answer, you know. So 5 years later, our grandkids were in junior high, and neither one of them played. And so a guitar. For us, it's only the guitar. But anyway, James said, that's a shame. He said, the guitar changed my whole life. He said, they have no idea how it would change their life if they could play a guitar. And we looked at each other, and James said, that's what we have to do. We have to start giving guitars to kids. And the first concert, now we had never put a show together, never given a guitar, had no money, and no grants from the government, nothing. And we put a show together, and every artist we called, and there were 27 artists that showed up for no money, to give a concert to raise money to give guitars. And do you know that we raised enough money to give 2,000 guitars in our hometown, but that was in '95, and now we've given guitars all over the world with no grants from the government, only with the love of people that know us, and we take no salary, no one does at this foundation, and people just donate because they know we're the real deal. But we give to St. Jude's, we give to Shriners, we give all children's hospitals around the world, not just in our hometown. And we get letters from high school kids in Detroit. We just got one that the kid said, all my life, he's in the high school getting ready to go into the world to work, and he could hardly spell and he could hardly print. And he said, all my life I wanted a guitar. All my life. And he said, I didn't know anyone loved me enough to give me a guitar. I cried. I mean, you get tired of going there and working all the time and doing stuff because you have your own personal life. But I'm going to tell you, when those rewards come back and you guys donate to our foundation, it's going straight to the kids. And when you read letters like that, you think, well, how can I change a child's life? You can buy them a guitar. And a guitar is not that they're going to be a rocker, because 99.9% they won't even be in the music business. But that same guitar, with that same kid at 14 sitting in the middle of his bed, having trouble with his parents, having trouble with his peers at school, trying to make him do stuff he doesn't want to do, having trouble with his girlfriend, whatever his troubles are. He has troubles, just like we do. And he can strum on that guitar and write songs, and his whole life changes. It gives him self-esteem and worth in the world. And he's always invited to parties because he plays the guitar and plays the music, right? So he's really somebody. But then it's the same guy at 50 years old, sitting on his patio, strumming that same guitar because he's got life problems, kids problems, job problems, personal problems, health issues, and he is playing that same guitar, writing new songs. But it's changed his life because now he's got an avenue. Music is the universal language. It really is. I've heard that for years, but it truly is. That's why we're all here, because of Elvis's music. But James,
it's a great thing.
it is great. I mean, if you're ever coming by Shreveport, Louisiana, we have a great foundation office. We have 2 recording studios now. The kids under 18 come in and record free because of people like you. And it's just amazing.
All these great kids. How do the musical genes come down into the kids? Are they all musical, or some are and some aren't?
The girls were musical, the boys were athletic. Ron has a daughter from his previous marriage that's a singer. She lives in Arizona and she does work there. That's about it.
What about the grandkids? Do you see music coming up in the grandchildren?
2 of them.
2. Yeah. Where are the kids at? All the kids? Are they mostly in the West Coast? I know some of them are in Nashville.
Yes, some are 2 are in Arizona, one's in Utah, one's in Hawaii, and the rest are Los Angeles. There's 3-4 of them that live in Nashville with us.
Do you all, I know you have a real close family, do you all try to spend Christmas together or vacation together?
Yeah, as many as can get to one spot. It's usually our house, because
Yeah.
we have a big place for them to play.
When was the last time you had everyone together?
3 years ago when our son got married. They were all there.
It's a good
It
time.
was fun.
Family is so important, and I come from a big family too, and those family times are really precious, aren't they? And when you see both of these families, they're very close and they just love each other so much. It's really inspiring to see. And it's especially interesting in the music business because the music business is a crazy business. A lot of people get into the music business and lose their mind. But somehow you all have been able to keep it in the middle of the road all these years. And family, family, and the love that you all, it's very apparent when you see them together that they really enjoy being together. So, yeah, that's great. Question?
Yeah, did you ever go to recording sessions? If yes, what was that like to see the guys creating the music? And if not, what will your husbands tell about the recording sessions and how the work was?
Good question.
Well, I can think of a couple. Karen Carpenter went to one of her recording sessions and was amazed at the talent that young lady had. And then...
Was Ronnie playing on the record?
Yeah. One of the Christmas albums.
I have that album.
Yes, and that was fascinating to me.
Was that your first session that you'd ever seen?
The first one I went to was Billy Joel's. Ron did Billy Joel's first two albums, Piano Man and Street Life Serenade, and that was exciting to see that.
Louise, what about you? What was the first recording session you ever went to?
Well, the first one I ever went to, it was just so boring. I don't even know who was the artist. They were playing the same song over and over, and I'm used to like live music. You play it, and that's it. I didn't realize that you went over, and 87 takes later, you go back to the first take, right? We were talking about that the other night. But I thought, how in the world do they sit here hour after hour? And I'm thinking of all the things I should be doing at home and shopping. And I really didn't like going after that. I mean, it was like, it was boring to me, but what is really fascinating to me, and I don't know if, I'm sure Donna feels the same way, our guys go to work, and I don't go with him. And he does his work and he comes home. I forget what his work is. You know, James doesn't work in our town. James works and flies out to work. And so I forget that. Then I see a show like the other night, and it really blows me away because I remember then how incredibly talented they are. And it's good for me because I take his work for granted, and it's not for granted. These guys, James plays off the heart, and he creates what he's playing. These guys are the top of the line, and you forget all of that when you're just being neighbors and friends, but when you actually see them perform, it is really, it really inspires you to even love them more and more and more and more because they're so talented. And that's a special gift. I mean, not everyone has that gift. I don't have that gift, but I have other gifts. So, and Donna has other gifts. So we have our each individual gift that we have to do the best we can. But there's very few of us that have that incredible talent, just like the Imperials. You know, I know them and we socialize with them, and then when I saw them yesterday, it's like, they sound like a record. They don't even sound like, they sound like one voice. You know, it's just totally amazing. And so, anyway, that's my take on that.
Let me lead from there. I've had the rare privilege, for me, it's an honor to have been a part of going on the road with these guys. And I watch behind the scenes we fly to a city. You know, we've flown all night from America, and we're tired, we're exhausted. It's not a glamorous job in that sense. You know, you know what it's like in airports and hotels, and there's always some issue that's come up, and so it all has to be dealt with. But the crew that comes together and puts the drums and the equipment on the stage and the sound guys, and to get it up and running day after day, city after city, you know, it is amazing to watch these entertainers go up on those stages. They're tired, they're exhausted, but the lights go on and they're perfect in their show, their singing. They're always have wonderful spirit about them. You know, I'm blessed to be around all of them, honestly.
Well, we're blessed to have you. You know,
She got married.
we're just about out of time here, but I gotta tell you, it was such an honor for me. I've been a lifelong musician, but to come into this group, this band of musicians, was such a wonderful experience for me, getting to work with some of my heroes that are musical icons to the entire world. But I've also been really blessed to get to know Louise and Donna and some of the other family members, and to see their heart too. Because when we look out and we see them, we know that they're out there 100%, and they're with us and they're rooting for us. And it's a wonderful support. And I know James and Ronnie and the other wives and the other guys have that same feeling. The old story where they say, behind every man is a great woman.
Yes.
Here's two examples right here. Something? Yeah.
I just have one more quick, I swear it's going to be quick. We're having a special concert again, January the 8th. And one of the casinos in our hometown has given us their showroom for free. And we have artists coming for free to do one more concert, December 8th. And it's every penny goes to buy a guitar, and for every $100 we go buy one more guitar. So if you guys are in the area, please come, because you're really welcome. We'd love to see you there. And if you can't, please buy a $100 ticket, because you get a drawing for a guitar that James has signed, and that money will still go to buy a guitar. So just this is an advertisement for the foundation. But also, we're playing December 14th at Graceland. 16th, sorry. The next weekend, we're playing Graceland. Well, James is playing, I'm not playing. But, so we'd just love to see you there if you're in the Memphis area. It's going to be really a treat. And we'll be there, you know, hang with you and talk with you, and it'll be fun. Oh yeah, James has, he's been honored by having his own Sirius Elvis radio show. So we're going to be cutting some Sirius. Sorry. Okay. Went that way, but I said what he was telling me to say. So I just want to tell you, you know, we couldn't do this cruise without y'all.
That's right.
And we wouldn't want to. I mean, James and I don't buy tickets to go on a cruise. We don't have that time, and we don't want to, on top of that. But when y'all come, it just makes it so special. We can hardly wait to get here to see everybody and say hello and hug and talk about old times. I'll let Donna take it from here.
No, it's true. It's true. It's because of all of you and all of their fans that keep us going, truly. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Donna, Louise, thanks for sharing your stories with us this morning. And I just say, everybody keep Ronnie in your prayers as he's continuing to stay in his therapy and get stronger. And we're just so thrilled to see him. As I told him the other day, glad to see you back in the saddle.
One more, wait, sorry.
This is two more, Louise.
Guys didn't have anywhere to go, right? No, I want to tell you, our daughter and her husband and our granddaughters with us, our daughter has never come with us. She's my rock. She's the one that stays home and takes care of everything while we go. And this time, she said she would go, and I was almost in tears because she's the daughter everyone prays to have. She is, there's nothing negative from birth that I could ever say about my daughter. She's so loving and caring for everybody else. Please, if you see her, thank her for being on this tour because it's really an honor. And I want to thank everybody, not only for the prayers for Ronnie, because those are really appreciated. And I have put down a lot of them, but also for my son. And he would be here if he could. He just can't physically be here. But he's holding his own. And I want to tell you, he's lived 3 years when they said he'd never live overnight. And it's because of your prayers. We're so strong together. We are powerful prayer warriors. And I really appreciate your prayers because that's the only reason that they get well. Thank you.
Have a great day, and we'll see you all tonight. Thanks for coming.
didn't know what to say. It's time to go on Did you win the school?